You wanted cake? You got cake! Now eat it!
Hey everybody, I hope that you had a great Halloween. This year I decided a week before Halloween to make a costume. I wasn't planning on doing it, but then I got inspired and I was just excited to execute the costume idea I had. I love being able to create my own costumes from scratch and try to make it as authentic as possible. And my favorite part is acting like the character that I'm dressing up as and quoting them and doing things that they would do. And this is just fun to be able to be someone that I'm not normally. So this year I decided to be a character from one of my favorite movies, Matilda. And this year I was Miss Trunchbull. Here are a couple of photos of Miss Trunchbull from the movie Matilda, so you can see what her outfits look like. This photo right here is specifically the outfit that I'm going for my costume. She's wearing a gray sweatshirt that says 1972 Olympics, and then she has sweatpants on, boots, and she always just looks grungy and like she has just been working out, and she's super strong and buff and is a principal at the school and is considered the villain of the movie. So that's kind of fun. So the first part of creating my costume was recreating the sweatshirt hoodie that she wears that says 1972 Olympics. So I used my Cricut machine to use iron-on vinyl to put it onto the sweatshirt so that I can make it look as authentic as possible. All right, so I have this scrap piece of black iron-on vinyl that I used from other projects, and it's the perfect size for the sweater. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a measuring tape to measure it, and then that way I'll know what size I need to make the design. So it's measuring to be about 9 inches by 6.5. And so for this project, for her sweatshirt, I just got a basic gray tee and I got extra large in men's so that it would be baggy, and then that way I can put stuff under it to make it look like I'm more bulky. And then here's the size of that black vinyl iron-on sheet that I had, and I think it will fit perfectly on here. And here I'm showing me creating the typography for the sweatshirt. At first, I was trying to find a font that I liked that was close enough to it, but I couldn't find one that felt close enough to me. So I took a screenshot from the movie and image traced the sweatshirt and used the pen tool to adjust it to make it as close as possible to the original sweater. So once I had the design ready, I put the vinyl on the mat and I set up my file in the Cricut app, and then I put it in the Cricut machine so it could do the cutting. This is actually really fun and satisfying to watch. Once it was fully cut, I took it off of the mat so that I could pick the stuff off that wasn't going to be used. This part of the process can be difficult with my vision because it's hard for me to see. I can't usually tell where the design begins and ends. Usually I just take the corner of it and then I try to peel it off as best as I can to get it started. And then that way I can usually kind of slowly figure out where the design is and just very carefully pull it off. And then once I had it all peeled off and ready to put on the sweatshirt, I just placed it on to make sure I had the placement I wanted. And then it was time to iron it on. So I ironed it and everything, waited for it to cool a little bit, and then I got to pull off the plastic, and this part was super satisfying to see the final result of the design. So something important for me this year when creating my costume was trying to do it on a budget because I didn't want to spend a ton of money on my costume. So I went to the dollar store to see if there was anything I could use to help create my costume. So I went and found these white bulky socks that I used for my costume. They worked really well and looked just like her socks in the movie. I also found this towel or rag that's white. It's just a basic white rag, but she wears it around her neck a lot from like when she's working out or whatever so that she can wipe off her sweat. And then I found a pair of black gloves. I found these in the gardening section at the dollar store, and I only need one glove because she wears one on one of her hands and then she holds her crop whip in her other hand, and then it's to protect her when she's whipping her own hand so she doesn't hurt herself. But in the movie she wears a leather one. I just cut off the fingers and made it look similar to how she has it in the movie, but I didn't want to spend the money on actual leather gloves, so I just went with this DIY. Worked great for me. So like I said, I was trying to be on a budget, so I tried to use items that I already had around the house. So I used a pair of just generic blue sweatpants that I have that I wear around the house. Those worked out great. I used a pair of bulky green boots that I have, and these worked well for her costume as well. So I was trying to find a way to make myself look bulkier or heavier, more beefy, like Miss Trunchbull. So I found this vest. It's really poofy, and I don't wear it very often, but I used it underneath my sweatshirt, and it definitely made me look more bulky and beefy. So that was a really easy, nice touch to the costume, and I was excited that it worked out well. I also purchased a couple of things on Amazon to really take my costume to the next level. So I found this belt. It's a thick brown belt. It's probably like 4 inches wide, and she wears a really thick belt in the movie, so this one worked out great. And of course I bought a horse crop whip. This is definitely essential for her costume. A prop that I bought was a chocolate cake that is very key in this movie, and so I carried that around as I was wearing my costume to help with the context of the movie. And then just for my hair, all I did was I didn't wash it the day before, so it was a little greasy. I pulled it up into a bun because that's how she wears her hair throughout most of the movie. And then for makeup, she doesn't really wear makeup, but I use makeup to make me look patchy. Her face is super red and just like inflamed everywhere. She has a huge mole on the side of her face. And then I also added more eyebrows into my face because that's what she has. And that worked out nice, and it was super fast and easy. And of course, while I was getting ready, putting on makeup and doing my hair, I put on the movie Matilda so I could have a refresher of the movie. I could make sure I knew some of her lines and get into her character, which was fun to do. Now here's a picture of my full costume, all ready to go as Miss Trunchbull. I was quite excited with how it turned out.
Agatha Trunchbull, Crunchy Hall, Elementary. For those of you who don't know who I am, you should know who I am. I am the principal in the movie Matilda. Use the rod, beat the child. That's my motto. You wanted cake, you got cake. Now eat it! They're all mistakes, children, nasty little things. I'm sure glad I never was one. Fresh meat. You're too small, grow up quicker. Change those socks, they're too pink. You, detention, your mommy's a twit. I hope you enjoyed my costume this year. Comment below what you were for Halloween. If you liked my costume, make sure to subscribe to my channel below and like this video so I know that you liked it. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Goodbye.